the folks. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door, ready to make an entrance. So back on up.
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, what's up?
I'm doing good. You can call the show. This is the Friday Sports Riot, 630-403-5200. And on the phone line from Thunder 94.5 in Grand Rapids, host of the Flounder and Marty Morning Show, we have Marty Brooks. What's up, Marty?
Nothing, guys. Sorry, I was in my slumber for the Bears season. I was hibernating until next year.
Yeah.
And before we get to that sad topic that we will be talking about, how was your New Year's?
Oh, it was a blast. We actually hosted an event downtown. This year we had about 25,000 people, and we had Love and Theft, country artist Ayaz and Ryan Cabrera, and it was a ton of fun. So it was a nice New Year's, and now looking for a new year.
Was that from the same night, which is on your Facebook picture now?
Yeah, that same night. It was freezing.
You looked a bit cold in that picture.
Thank God we have heated tents that I could go sit in.
Yeah.
I was frozen.
Now, before the game began, did you think the Bears were going to win, or did you think the Packers were going to come out on top?
I thought the Bears were going to win. I think I had them as 10-point favorites, They were going to win by 10. I really thought I was going to be right, especially in that fourth quarter. You know what? In my mind, again, the Bears won that game. I think there were a few calls that for some reason I feel like the Bears never get when they play Green Bay Packers. But I might just be losing it, hallucinating sometimes when I watch the Bears and the Packers.
Yeah, there's this weird thing where you just want the Bears to win, but it just seems like it's not possible. Ever since we got Jay Cutler, he's 1-7 against the Packers. What can we do as an organization to get off the losing side and beat the damn cheeseheads?
I think you need a defense. The offense played great. You go back to a few of the plays there in the third quarter, or in the fourth quarter. That pass that Alshon Jeffrey dropped, that would have been, they put the Bears down on the 15 or 20-yard line and given us a first down. And then, it seemed like and that was not Cutler's fault. I'm really happy. I thought the Bears played great, except even the defense played well. A couple of turnovers, things like that. I mean, it just seemed that it was going to be the Bears' night, and then, with 40 seconds left or whatever there was left, and, broken down coverage with Conti, and next thing you know, Cobb has a touchdown in the end zone.
When that happened, the whole Chris Conti broken coverage, how mad was Marty Brooks, the Bears fan?
No. I was in tears. I literally was almost in tears. I was so upset because the Bears had the game. And I want to go back to a few plays before that. The Bears had some 4th and 1, 4th and 2 situations with the Packers. And I think, and I've even seen video now of it, where the Bears or Packers had been flagged for delay of game.
That is weird because Mike McCarthy's such a good coach. You wouldn't expect that to happen.
No, but they should have been flagged for delay of game, and they got away with that. But it just seems to be the old way that somehow the Packers always end up getting in, and then they finally sell out last second for the playoff tickets. But
yeah.
The Bears should have won that game. I think the Bears played well. It was the defense, and how fitting is that the thing that we had the problem with all year long was the defense.
And it's also kind of weird because in the beginning of the game, the Bears defense actually came up with 2 big interceptions early. Do you think that had to do more with Aaron Rodgers starting to get into his groove, or did that have to do with the Bears actually having a good defense in the first half?
I think the Bears played solid defense. I think they were pumped and ready to go. There was pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Shea McClellan got flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. I didn't get that one. I think that was in the first or second quarter that continued to drive for them. That ended up being a touchdown, possibly.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yes, I think so.
That was, again, it was just, why would you flag him up? Why would you make pull a flag like that? It's just very, very irritating because let them play. It's not like he went down viciously to knock him out of the game. I mean, he was running over to tackle him and rolled over him. It's not like he threw his head and speared him in the stomach or something like that. But I think there's just calls like that always seem to go against the Bears in crucial situations.
And now I tweeted this out right after the Bears lost, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, so I want your take. Don't you think Mel Tucker should have been fired the second Chris Conte had broken coverage and the second the defense was the reason we lost? Aren't you mad that Mel Tucker has not been fired?
No, I don't think this is Mel Tucker's fault. I don't. Chris Conte, I've watched the video over and over again, and Yahoo's played it, and they kind of talked about the coverage, but Anderson was calling the coverage on the play. For whatever reason, Chris Conte was not paying attention. That comes down to personnel, and I mean, there's a lot of coaches that should be fired, and half the time I don't think it's the coach's fault, it's the player's fault.
But is there any way, I mean, think about it this way. Last year, we had a great season. Tim Jennings, all those takeaways, all those fun interceptions. And this year, we have one of the worst defenses ever in Bears history. Don't you see a pattern there?
I'm going to go back. I mean, the first game of the season the Bears played, I believe they played the Bengals.
Yeah.
Who else would play the first two games of the season? I can't even remember.
We played,
Minnesota and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those games during those first three games, the Bears they had a good defense. Mm-hmm. They had solid defense. The Bengals had a good team. Pittsburgh, almost wound up in the playoffs. Granted, that was very fortunate if they would have, but the Bears played solid defense, and then you see Henry Melton get hurt. Then you're seeing, the rest of the linebackers get hurt. It was like a snowball of disaster for the Bears defense, and I don't think Peanut Tillman was all that healthy throughout most of the season, and I know he ended up going on IR. So I think it's just the personnel, and we had such young guys filling in those spots that there weren't any veterans to really take over.
And I think once Lance Briggs went down for 7 weeks, he never was the same. And once Henry Melton was out, that was like the breaking point where things just seemed to go down from there.
Because there's no one to have any rushing. I mean, McClellan's not a defensive end. He's not good enough to be a defensive end. I was talking to my family, and I said, I feel like that was a waste of a draft pick. Not that the guy's not athletic, but we could have had something else. But look at Radcliffe, though. Radcliffe had a good game. We had some of these guys that we picked up throughout the season that came in and played solid defense towards the end of the year and kind of stopped the run. Lacey did not have a great game against the Bears.
Now, yesterday the Bears had this huge news conference, and they signed 3 players, Slauson, Tim Jennings, and Jay Cutler. What was your take on Jay's contract of 7 years, $126.7 million, and 3 years guaranteed?
I think he deserved it. I really do. I'm a huge Jay Cutler fan. Look what he can do. Look at the weapons. All right, let's throw away that interception at the end of the game. It was like, I just need to throw the ball. Hopefully Alshon Jeffrey can come up with another amazing catch for the season. How do you not give a guy like that kind of money? And he deserved it. He's a good player. He's gotten smarter. He probably wasn't even dumb to begin with as a football player, but he didn't have the tools. He didn't have an offensive line. He didn't have these weapons like the Martellus Bennett and we had a Brandon Marshall, and that was it, and Alshon Jeffrey. But there was no way to get the ball out to them because he had to get the ball out pretty quick. So I think he was well deserved of that. Slauson, I'm happy we signed him, and Tim Jennings. I think he. Am I surprised? No, but part of me is surprised. I think a few times he didn't have a very solid game, and he got beat a few times over the past few weeks.
And what does Jay need to do in the offseason to be one of the top-tier players as it comes to being a quarterback in the NFL?
He just needs to stay healthy. I think that's the key. Be healthy. He's got a strong arm. He can throw the ball. He can move out of the pocket. He's pretty mobile. There were a few times, though, I think even in the Packer game, that he didn't want to run. And I think because he knew that he was still pretty banged up. But you know what? Just take your time, Jay. Just take your time. I know there's a lot of people, as the Bears lost last week, that were saying some pretty nasty things about Jay, but you can't blame that game on Jay. You can't blame most games on Jay. 99% of the games this season, I would say, besides the Philadelphia Eagles game, which was the offensive problem too, that's what I'd say, that there was one game probably this entire season that the offense didn't show up, and that was the Eagles game.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then can we get your picks on the big NFL playoff games this weekend?
Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll be right back on the Friday Sports Riot. Yeah, Ryan, I'm taking you back with some Air Force One by Nelly.
Thank you. I didn't really listen to this rap. I was still listening to NSYNC and stuff.
He to her. Yeah, me in second grade on the playground. I was bumping this in my headphones, my little CD player.
I hope not.
All right, if you want to call it a Friday Sports Riot and ask Marty Brooks a question, it's 630-403-5200. Or you could tweet at us at Hoppy Radio 89.3 and at Ryan Stuprich if you want to get it in and have us ask Marty Brooks. But anyway, Marty, who do you have winning the first playoff game? The San Diego Chargers or the Cincinnati Bengals?
Oh, this is one of those toss-up games.
Yeah.
I think that. But, I think Cincinnati's probably a better team all around. They're defensively and offensively. So I think you're going to see a really tight game and probably come down to the fourth quarter and see Cincy win.
And now Andy Dalton has never won a playoff game, and Rivers might live in the moment of actually making the playoffs for once. So which quarterback's going to have a better game?
I think Andy Dalton has something to prove. So I think you'll see Andy Dalton have a good game. I mean, I know he's a soulless ginger, but don't worry, he might have some soul left in him this weekend.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be playing in their first playoff game in forever. They're going to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Do you think that Kansas City can come out with a win?
Yeah, I think Kansas City, I think they're better than the Colts. The Colts had such an up-and-down season. Talk about a season of who are the Colts? Are they a good team or are they a bad team? Which team's going to show up, you never know. And the Chiefs have been a consistently good team the entire year. So I think Kansas City's going to come in and beat the Colts.
And I agree with you there on that one. And the next game is the San Francisco 49ers going to be going into 20 below degree weather to play against the Packers. Do you think that the 49ers will win? Because I think the 49ers are favored by, 2.5 points. Do you think that they can beat the Packers?
Yeah, I do. And here's the thing. If it was like 10 degrees outside or 15 degrees, I'd say, all right, you might look towards the Packers. But here's the thing. 20 below or whatever it's going to be,
yeah.
I don't think there's an advantage for anybody.
Right.
With the way the weather's going to be. So I'm going to say San Francisco wins again. Their defense is better than the Packers' defense, and I think that's what it comes down to the teams. Even offensively, Green Bay is not a great offensive team. They're okay. Aaron Rodgers, again, hey, guess what? You want to throw Aaron Rodgers out there when you're talking about basically between somebody and a rock is where Aaron Rodgers can land this week because that ground's not going to be soft. It's going to be frozen solid. So look for Aaron Rodgers to try to avoid a sack as much as possible, and Aaron Rodgers possibly to re-injure that collarbone.
And now, what type of game will Kaepernick have? Because he had a very down year, and I feel like he has a lot to prove.
You know what, Colin? This is what I think is so funny about the NFL. Is we get hot on the a quarterback has one great year, and we think that they're God. RG3 is another one of those guys. I mean, Russell Wilson, he's probably a legit quarterback. He had a really good year, but he also has some great playmakers around him. I don't think Colin Kaepernick is that great of a player. He should have probably stuck to baseball and see what happened there. He can run. That's basically about it. And if you can stop him from running, then you can stop Colin Kaepernick. And I don't think the Green Bay Packers can stop him from running on Sunday.
And which running back is going to win the matchup, Eddie Lacy or Frank Gore?
Frank Gore. Eddie Lacy's too beat up. The Bears stopped Eddie Lacy. And if the Bears can stop Eddie Lacy, I'm pretty sure the 49ers can.
Last game that we'll talk about is the New Orleans Saints going to Philadelphia to play Nick Foles and the Eagles. It's kind of interesting that the Saints have are a better team than the Eagles, but they're going into Philadelphia, so Philadelphia actually has an edge.
Yeah, and I think Philadelphia is going to win. Philadelphia can put up points fast. They have a running attack. They have an air attack. They have it all. Nick Foles is having a great year. Again, one of those guys, he's having a great first year, basically, as a quarterback. I think Philadelphia is probably the most dangerous team in the playoffs right now. They're the team to watch.
And how big of a game will Deshaun Jackson, not LaShawn, have against the Saints defense?
He'll have a great game. He's a good running back. He's a cutter. That's the thing. He can weave in and out of guys, and he creates these small little openings that you're like, how did he fit through that? It's like he has KY jelly on, and he's squeezing through the tightest of holes. It's unbelievable the way the guy can move in and out. And I think he's going to have a great game. The Saints' defense is not a very good defense either. They give up a ton of points, and the Eagles have proved over the past few weeks, hey, guess what? We can play some defense. I mean, I know they probably almost, and I think I said it last week, they almost lost to Dallas. So I think that was kind of ironic that that they beat up on the Bears pretty badly, but then they came out pretty flat against Dallas.
Last thing, kind of out of left field, who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl, and who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Oof. I'm going to go with Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yeah. That's going to be. They're kind of like that. Like I said, they can put up points. We'll see what their defense can do. But I think they're one of those teams that if they play okay defense, they will throw up points. I think the Bears were almost in that same situation because the Bears can throw up points too. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of how good is their defense. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia, and I'm going to say Denver.
Okay.
And I think you're going to see Denver win the Super Bowl.
And what does Peyton Manning need to do to win it all?
Not throw interceptions.
Yes.
And make sure. Here's the thing. If Denver didn't have Peyton Manning, I don't think Denver would be where they are now. I think if they had anybody else besides Peyton Manning, they wouldn't be in this situation. So I think Peyton Manning just needs to continue to play his game and see what happens. But, I think those are the two teams to look at in the Super Bowl.
And what is coming up next week on the Flounder and Marty Morning Show?
Well, actually, it's funny. We are Keith Urban's coming to town next week, which is kind of nice because it's freezing cold out here, and so it's his Light the Fuse tour. So we're giving away tickets to that. Also giving tickets away to the Detroit Auto Show. So that's kind of exciting. So we have a lot of giveaways to give away next week, trying to get back into the groove because I feel like when you have that, like Christmas was on a Wednesday, New Year's Day was on a Wednesday. It's just everything's thrown off completely because people still don't want to go back to work.
And Marty, thank you for coming on the Friday Sports Riot.
Thanks, guys, so much. Hey, have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All right, bye.
And that was Marty Brooks of the Flounder and Marty Morning Show. If you want to check it out, since you're most likely in the Chicagoland area, if you're listening to Sports Town Chicago, go to the app shop. We all have the phones. They have the smartphones. They're more smarter than us. Just search up Thunder 94.5 and download it and check it out. 5 to 9 a.m.
Yes.